Good afternoon, everyone. The Chilliwack Creative Commission is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stalo people. So ready? Live from Studio C, it's the Chilliwack Creative Commission's Creative Third Thursday. And I'm your guest host, Jason Lum, chair of the Chilliwack Creative Commission. I've got notes everywhere. They were really worried about me guest hosting here, so they put up notes on like 5 different places, if you can't tell. So if you don't know anything about Creative Third Thursday, Creative Third Thursday is working to connect and build a community of creative people starting right here in Chilliwack. And you are here in Studio C at Co-Work Chilliwack. What a place. Big round of applause. That's right. And the mastermind, of course, behind Studio C and Co-Work Chilliwack is Tim McAlpine, and he's the brains. So, Tim, take a bow. There he is. And so on behalf of Tim, myself, and the Chilliwack Creative Commission, welcome to Co-Work Chilliwack and Studio C. And for more information about Creative Third Thursday and the Creative Commission, you can go to creativethirdthursdays.com. And for more information about the Chilliwack Creative Commission, you can visit businessinchilliwack.com. And watch for the hashtag on social media if you do that kind of thing. I just ditched all my social media and gone back to just farming, and it's great. But if you're doing that thing, you're on social media, hashtag Creative Chilliwack. If you take some pictures tonight, you can post them on social media and use that hashtag Creative Chilliwack for news about Creative Chilliwack and some of the other events that we host. Now it's time to meet this month's featured creative. So joining us today is a man of many talents, a Renaissance man, a writer, producer, comedian, and host with a career spanning decades. He's worked with some of the biggest names and events in Canadian entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Harry Doupe. How's it going, Harry?
Good to see you, stranger.
Welcome. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you and everyone else.
Let's get into it, man.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's get into it.
We're not wasting any time.
I told you it wasn't gonna. I was gonna take it easy on you. And
yeah.
Really, if most of you know, you may not know Harry, but I got an opportunity to meet Harry, a number of years ago, and he's a frequent flyer here at Creative Third Thursdays. But the one thing I do love about kind of learning about the creative, underbelly of Chilliwack, you get all these people that you maybe have met week after week, month after month.
Without knowing.
And you have no idea the crazy history and the work that they've done.
There's not many people in Chilliwack that I tell any of this stuff to.
It's true. But you know what?
Like it's a small handful of people, and now these folks, and I guess.
And we're going to record this, and of course we're going to put it on YouTube, and we're going to blast it around.
And anyone who's involved with knowing the internet, I suppose it's going a little broader.
That's right. So let's get into it.
My hair's better than that one.
Yeah. So
the first one was my first headshot, and just a quick hint for anyone out there who's talking about their first headshot: don't save money and cut your own hair the first time. It's meant to sell you.
That's why I'm wearing a hat. So I gotta ask. So what drew you to comedy in the first place? Was there a particular moment growing up? Did you just know? When did you realize?
I don't know. I mean, my family was fairly funny, and my friends were funny, and there was a comedy club in Gastown called Punchlines at the time, and I went there to watch the amateur night one time, and I thought I could do better, so I went back a couple of weeks later and did that.
Okay, and so we've got this, we've gone deep into the treasure trove of the photo books here, and so we're going to kind of go through some of these. I think you've seen them all. I think your agent vetted them all. We're good
sure
with we're okay. But so tell me about this photo.
This was doing a show at the University of Calgary. I was supposed to be doing a 1,200-seat room opening for Kenny Shields, but for some reason they scheduled me at 6 p.m. and him at 10. So at 6 p.m., obviously there's no, I mean, it was the end of the school year and everyone's outside, having a great time. They're throwing Frisbees and drinking beer. And I had to go to do another show. And I said, like, if you guys want to do this, we've got to do it. And he said, well, can you do it out here? And I go, whatever you want. So they pull up a beer van and put some squelchy speakers on top, and there I stand while folks throw garbage at me. A guy tried to wrestle the mic from me, and when I finished, I got doused with a cooler full of ice water.
And but it's character building. These kind of
I don't think it built their character at all. I think, from what I understand, the security took away their ticket to see Kenny Shields. So
this is not the same gig. This is in
no. This is why I'm on the way up now.
Yeah.
That was the balloon was in my rider. That was This was another show that it was supposed to be much better attended, but it got put off a day for the rain date, and they didn't tell the crowd that there was a rain date. So that's what it was. It was about 150 people and their kids, 100 feet away from the stage.
Do you have to change your material? Do you have to do you have to go family friendly, or were you always family friendly?
No, I mean it's funny because I was always considered a pretty clean comic, which part of the glory of that was I swore more than anyone really realized, but it was always in places you really didn't notice it. So everyone always thought, clean and so I could go completely clean if I needed to.
Yeah.
And so but I don't recommend any sort of material for that crowd.
No.
It's just it's asking about their day basically.
And you come through, so you're doing these gigs, and then you're on TV, and you're in front of the camera and stuff. So this one's CBC, I think.
This was the show TV Comics, but because Jeff Edwards, who works here, he used to work at CKVU. There's a TV show there called The Vancouver Show that I was on about 15 times because it was low budget and easy to get on. But this one here was the TV show Comics. It was the first stand-up TV series in Canada. A guy named Joe Baudelaire, who was a real mentor of mine. He's the guy who got it put together. And so this was, for about 5 years, this was the big launching point for like every Canadian stand-up.
And this is circa...
the series came on in 93, I think.
Okay.
And lasted till about 98, when by that point the Comedy Network had come on, and so
is this pre Just for Laughs kind of?
No, Just for Laughs started about a decade before this, but doing this was a great stepping stone to Just for Laughs. I mean, getting a tape from a real TV show is a lot better than anything else you can send them to try and get you to book them.
Yeah, and this becomes part of your reel for booking.
Yeah.
Cool. Now you. Some people don't know this, and obviously this was one that completely blew me away, not just because I was, a huge fan, but just because of what a cultural icon Gord Downey was. But you actually toured with.
Well, I mean, I did select shows with them.
On was it another roadside attraction?
Another roadside attraction. I just did the last show because I was at the first one in Vancouver, and then I got a phone call in my mom's kitchen. I was living in Toronto, but I was out here visiting. Went to the Vancouver show, and a couple of days later, I got a call. Gord Downey had called my place in Toronto, and it said my mom's number to call. So he called my mom's place in Fort Langley to ask if I would host the last show, because they were having radio DJs and it wasn't working out very well. So they had me host the last show of that tour, and then it was great because it was on a whole 2-hour radio special was on the next day. So all my intros were on that. And
so for anybody who who hasn't seen the documentary that's on Prime right now on the hip, this is actually a screenshot. When we're doing a little bit of research for this, so this is a screenshot from that doc, and we found your name in Gord's. This is Gord's notebook.
This is Gord Downey's daytimer from December 31st, 1999, the last day of. And they had me host the New Year's Eve 1999 show and the New Year's Day show at the Air Canada Centre. So that was the only bad thing about that was when he got me the gig, and then Jake Gold, their manager, wanted me to wear black tails on December 31st and then white tails on January 1st. And anytime you have rent-a-tux, first of all, they're always way oversized and horrible looking. And the black one was okay, but the white one was pretty stupid. And when the first time Gord saw me that day, I'm walking down the hallway in my white tails, and he just stops me and he goes, "Just so you know, there were so many disagreements about who's going to be on the show and what production and all these things. And so when it got to what you were going to wear, I had nothing left in me.
So I mean, you guys were friends. He was a buddy. He was somebody that that you knew and talk about. I mean, you've toured with, or you've worked with some fairly legendary acts. Everybody from Weird Al to Gord Downey.
Well, what's funny is because I had a real nice run there, because I did a week on the road with Weird Al doing arenas and theaters, and then I did an 18. So this is from October of '99 to the end of December. So I did a week with Weird Al, and I did 18 theater dates with Ron James, and then did the Hip 2 thing. So that was a pretty good run. I mean,
So for somebody who I never met, I've never met either of those guys, but I got to ask, like, are they are there public facing personas the same as backstage?
Pretty much.
Was he like somebody like Gord, like similar guy? Like,
incredibly thoughtful. He was a great memory. He would remember everyone's name, and he was always making sure everyone was being looked after and everything. And no, he's a sweet guy.
Because that tour that they did, they weren't sure that was even going to work. Like another roadside attraction, they weren't even sure that this was going to happen. And there's huge tours that spun off after that, not just hip tours and stuff like that, but like people kind of took the framework for what they were kind of doing up in Canada, and they did it all over. Lollapalooza, they were doing
even in Canada. I mean, Our Lady Peace did Somersault, which is basically their version of another roadside attraction. But
so. And so any other kind of stories that stuck out? Like had you been working crowds like of this size? Like they weren't even sure.
Yeah, I always work crowds like this.
Yeah, like this. But
they'd say, we want you to do this gig. I go, is there going to be 35,000 people? Yeah. And they would say yes.
So how you go from the 150 or 50?
I went from the New Year's Eve show at the Air Canada Centre to going to do a set at a benefit for an arts cafe to like 20 people the same night.
And so how do you psych yourself up for that kind of thing, going from this to the arts cafe? And
well, I mean, you're going there to try and help the people make some money for their project and stuff, and you feel good about it.
Yeah.
They're both different, but they're both pretty good.
Yeah. Did you always, going back, like, had you thought like this is going to be like the pinnacle? Like some people say, like, I always knew. I knew I was going to.
No, I mean, I never had any expectations. I just thought, well, we'll see what happens. And the thing is, I came in at a good time for stand-up. There was a real comedy boom in the mid-'80s. And, whereas there had been like 4 clubs in all of Canada, now there's like 20 clubs in all of Canada, and exponentially the same in the States. And so there was tons of work. And it was getting bigger and bigger. And, you sort of thought, I guess this is the way it is, not knowing that shortly thereafter, the boom just died and changed everything.
You go from in front of the camera to the writer's room. Was that a seamless transition? Was it something that you were doing?
It wasn't seamless, but
parallel?
It was. But after the TV show Comics, there was more of an in, because the guy Joe Baudelaire, who started that, he also was a producer of the Gemini Awards, and a lot of the award shows had never used real comics before. Like a lot of the comedy shows even didn't use comics to write jokes for them, which is stupid. And that sort of opened the door for that. And Joe knowing me, that got me into the Geminis. And Joe also got me into the Juno Awards, because he'd worked with John Brunton, who was producing all the Junos at the time. And those are things like, once you're in, and people get a chance to see your work, then it's fairly easy to start getting the other stuff. Right. Like my friends Mark Farrell and Lawrence Morgenstern, like they were the first ones that started doing that, and they were doing every show.
Right.
And like I'd say to Joe, I said, like, it's great for them, but like, they're writing this music award show, and like none of them care about music.
Right. And so we did when we were kind of doing some back and forth. Again, this is another one that's over 40. You've written for over 40.
Written or produced.
Or produced over 40 awards shows. So Junos.
Yeah, so it's like...
NHL Awards.
Yeah, so it's like 5 Junos plus 3 Juno pre-shows.
Yeah.
6 Gemini Awards and 4 Gemini Award like earlier shows, because the broadcast is a big one, and there's always others for other awards leading up to it.
Yeah.
3 NHL awards, the Genie Awards, which are the film ones, or the Canadian Comedy Awards. I wrote on those, and then I got every year I would do the State of the Industry address at the Comedy Awards, which is basically the entire room full of industry, and I praise like 9 people for the things that have gone good, and then I rip the shit out of the rest of the industry for about an hour, which is I found out is not
not job security.
It's not a job security builder. No,
okay,
it's I find it. But sort of through that I got voted onto the board, and then because it was a ridiculous fly by night situation, and through that I was able to come in as a producer and being on the board. And so we had a 3-year span where took it from being a thing that no one cared about anymore, and it was just ridiculously badly run. Categories didn't even have criteria to them at a point. And so we were able to come in, me and some friends, and revamp it. Like the year we came in, there'd been 226 entries nationally for the awards. And we thought if we can just bring in transparency to the system and integrity and build credibility in it, it will do better. And 2 years later, we had more than 500. So we more than doubled it in 2 years. And then they brought in more special interest again and screwed the thing up. And that's when I left.
Are the writers' rooms for those, like, are they similar or are they different? Like how do you go from like music to NHL to, are they similar?
They're similar in a couple of respects. The main thing in an award show writer's room generally is you have to go in with a really thin skin because, even being a comic.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because you go into it knowing that you're going to overwrite so much for this. But the problem with all award shows is that you serve way too many masters. Because take the Juno Awards. It's like, okay, so you're in the writer's room, and so you write stuff, and then the producer has to like them and okay them, and then the producer goes to the network, and the network people okay them or not, and then it goes to CARAS, the Canadian Academy of Courts and Sciences, who oversee the Junos, and then they have a say in all of it, and then on the day, all the presenters have a say in it, and all our agents have a say in it. So anyone along that line can say they don't like it. So I mean, you go in, with that in the back of your head. No, so to me, I think I was lucky going through that because I've always taken what I was writing in those situations as more of just a suggestion. If you like it, great. Right. If not, let's do something.
Nothing too precious.
And the thing is, because there are so many times during that process where you think it's going to be so good, and there's jokes. There was one year on the Juno Awards where the Moffats were hosting. They were a 4-piece boy band thing. I mean, they're a real band, though. 4 guys. The oddity of it is it's triplets and a guy who's 50 weeks older. And the week of the awards, all of them were 16 years old. Okay. And again, so they're a young band, and their crowd is like completely females. And so the joke that I wrote that everyone liked in the room and everyone liked at every single level.
You're not going to get me canceled here, are you?
No.
Okay.
No. It was just, we were just playing with the idea that all our fans are female. And so there was a joke about saying, yeah, right now we'd like to take a second just to clear up the misconception that all our fans are female. We just want to say to our male fan base, Ray, you're doing a great job.
Nice.
And the thing is, because it plays with the idea of that, it's them being self-deprecating about it. And we go through the whole first meeting with them and their father, who's a manager, and they love everything and love everything and love everything. And then once we've gone through everything, they go, yeah, that one joke we didn't, and they could never, you're trying to tell them, if someone else is making fun of you, only have female fans, that's bad on you.
Right.
But if it's you guys making fun of the fact that most of your fans are female, then you're winning.
Yeah.
Like you're the guy telling the joke that wins.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get their head around it the whole time. So they tried it a couple different ways, and they tried it a real different way on the show, which I won't mention too much. Yeah. But really good guys and willing to work and stuff, and we're really eager to do all the work beside. But that one joke that was ending the monologue, because you saved the best one for the end of the monologue, and that joke was just never going to work for them.
It wasn't because their dad's name was Ray. No. You ever get a guest that changes the script or changes the writing. I think on the NHL Awards, you had a pretty high profile guest. Some people might recognize the name.
The 2007 NHL Awards, some scuffly young busker named Prime Minister Stephen Harper was going to be presenting the Lester Pearson Award, which is now called the Ted Lindsay Award. And it's the MVP of the league as voted on by the players. And so you get into the venue about 4 days before the show, and we had our little writers' room, and so the fourth day I go in and I can't get into the writers' room, and there's a security guy out front, and I go, "What's going on?" They go, "Oh yeah, the Prime Minister took that office," and I go, "Oh okay." Now the oddity of that is that throughout the week that I was there, if you phoned my phone at home, it immediately directed it to that room. So that day, the whole day would have been Stephen Harper getting my phone calls. And again, so the day of, we'd gone through all the script and stuff for the production meeting and everything. And the producer goes, "Anything else?" And I go, "Yeah, I just got to go change the Prime Minister's script." And I go, "No, seriously, I got to change the script." And they go, "Why?" And I tell them, they go, "Okay, yeah, do that." So I go to that room and I talk to the security guy outside and I go, "Yeah, I'm the writer and I need to change something in the Prime Minister's script." Because I had written the draft and he's keeping things from the draft, but he eliminated the phrase "since its inception." And the problem with that was he's handing out an award that started in 1971. So the only people that can win it have been from 71 on. And he's changed it, and he's just saying, the award's been won by all the greats of the game: Gretzky, Lemieux, Lafleur, but the problem is that Gordie Howe's there. He's going to be presenting later, and he's sitting in the front row. And Gordie Howe couldn't win it because he retired in 71. So if you say it's been won by all the greats of the game, and you don't mention Gordie Howe, who's sitting 15 feet from you, it's going to make you look bad. And so I had to go through level against level over level of people to go through explaining it to them before finally someone who could do something came out and we talked it through. And they're like, "No, you need that phrase. Otherwise, it's going to make him look bad." And again, I had the option of letting him look bad, but decided against it because I was always for the integrity of the show.
There you go.
And when they were doing their rehearsal, and it's since its inception, and they're making sure, and they've got me with the teleprompter person and everything. And so I mean, it worked out well. But and again, it shows two things that a lot of it gets changed, which you expect, but a little thing can really change how it goes.
It's the reason why you have professional writers who catch some of these things. So if the Right Honorable Stephen Harper is watching this YouTube, I mean, hopefully he came and thanked you for dodging that.
He and his staff, he did. He came up and thanked me after, and he and his staff were great. Yeah.
Well, he's quite an NHL kind of historian.
No, he's a huge hockey fan. He's a member of the Society of International Hockey Writers, SIHR.
This isn't NHL Awards. This is Hockeyville.
Yeah, this is Kraft Hockeyville.
Yeah. So few faces that people might recognize.
Okay, well, let's go from this. So Gabe Hogan, who's an actor, Katrina LeMay-Doan, Hockey Hall of Famer Glenn Anderson, Hockey Hall of Famer Haley Wickenheiser, Hockey Hall of Famer, rest in peace, Mike Bossy. And so the idea of Kraft Hockeyville was around, and I was one of the creators of Kraft Hockeyville.
And is that evolved now into what's the one that they do now with the local
hometown hockey? No, that was basic. So this
they just copied you guys.
Well, basically. Okay. So this only ran as a TV show for 1 year. It started off as a TV show and then just evolved into a contest, and they do little bits and pieces on Hockey Night in Canada because we were in partnership with the NHL and the NHLPA. And after the first year, they made it just a contest. But when we would go into these communities, because it's based on community and hockey spirit, and when you'd go into these communities for a shoot, it'd be like, there's a town of 450 people, and when you're going in to do a shoot, there's 1,000 people at the town sign. Yeah. I mean, so the reaction was overwhelming to all of us about the connection that it had. Right. And once it wasn't a TV show anymore, for someone else to just go, let's do that, was a pretty easy decision. Well, and they did a great job of it. Yeah. You landed on two of those cultural, those things that we hold dear in Canada, hockey and Tragically Hip, right? So, there you go. This is another one. This is the Comedy Gala. Well, this is a festival I produced in Calgary for 5 years. And it's funny, 5 years is sort of the amount of time that I end up doing these things for. Because like the Junos I did 5 years. This festival I did 5 years. Fraser Valley Music Awards I did 5 years. And it's funny, like the very first award that was presented on the first Juno Award I worked on was Burton Cummings and Alana Miles presenting an award to Alanis Morissette. And the last award of the last award Junos I worked on was Burton Cummings presenting an award to Alanis Morissette. So I thought, it's 5 years and this is the perfect bow to it, time to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had this festival for 5 years and we built it up completely out of scratch. And this was the last gala of the last year. And for anyone that knows me, you could tell that this was really, what I want to see. So it's 3 of the kids in the hall. And then K. Trevor Wilson, who's in Letterkenny, like he was the opener. That's how good the show was. Ophira Eisenberg's a pal of mine. She's big on NPR. Steve Patterson, the host of The Debaters. Then Sean Cullen, Christine Von Hagen, 4-time winner of Best Female Stand-Up. And Brent Butt, who I've known forever and produced his first theater date and his first tour. And so that's one show, and the house band was the Odds too. Besides that,
Wow.
So
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So that was a good way to go out.
I know seriously. And we did do this. We do this on Creative Third Thursday whenever I trap you by the bar and hear these stories. But you've got tons and tons of these. Any of them particular that kind of stick out for you? Like if you had to go back over some of these, any wild or kind of
Not
crazy
wild.
ones,
This is okay. This is an award story based on how we had a chance to do something we never get to do. Yeah. So this is the 25th Juno Awards, which and we ended up just always having our writers' meetings in the arena, and I guess it's going good because I'm clapping for some reason. But David Foster in '98. David Foster was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Quincy Jones was doing the induction, and once we'd run through everything for the day, David Foster came on the side of the stage, and there was me, and this is a writer named Dave, and he said, "Hey, can you guys just listen while I run through my speech and time it because I've got 4 minutes?" And we go, "Yes, perfect. Yeah, sure, no problem." So he reads through his speech and, not pausing for anything. He's got 4 minutes to do it. He reads through it. It's 7 minutes long. And we're like, wow, that's bad. And he goes, "Hey, will you guys help me trim it down?" Which never happens. Like, wow, we're going to have an opportunity to actually help this guy cut it down to being the length we really need it to be. So he goes, "Will you guys help me trim it down?" And the other writer goes, "Nah, I'll tell John it's 4 minutes." Okay, can anyone here guess how long David Foster's speech ended up being?
12, 15.
Keep going. Oh, no.
21 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then again, 2 years later, I wrote a joke for the show in 2000. Said this year, Alanis Morissette was in the film Dogma, where she played the part of God. Apparently, David Foster wanted the role till he found out it was a non-speaking part. And the producer's like, "I don't think anyone will get it." And it's like, the one thing we know about the Junos audience is they watch the Junos.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thread that we know. And she goes, "Oh, but I like David Foster." So
Are we just that's just a polite Canadian thing? We don't cut people off? Or?
I guess, but still.
So we talked about NHL awards. This is one that I actually can say I got to attend in person.
Yeah.
And this was Fraser Valley Music Awards. And I think you phoned me up. You were working with
Aaron
UFE.
Levy.
Yeah, you were working with folks. And you said, "Hey, I'm hosting them out in Chilliwack." And
We got together to see what you guys could do for us, and
that's awesome.
delivered the mayor, who probably would have come anyway. I mean, he was really involved.
He might have, was at Corky's. He might have just been there. Anyways. He's been hanging out there. Who knows? We don't know.
When I first moved back to the Valley after years away, 'cause I came back to help take care of my mom, and the first time I was ever at Corky's, I just sat there and looked at it and go, "I got to do something here." And I had a couple of not as good things, but that event was like exactly what I'd always envisioned there. It was packed, it was engaged, tons of energy, celebrating all the local artists. I mean, we had, besides, since Brian Smith, the Trooper, getting a Lifetime Achievement, and besides that, like we had, one of the guys from, Northern Touch, Rascals, one of the guys from Rascals, who, game changers in Canadian hip hop, who, came to present for hip hop, and we had all kinds of fun things, and again, great performances, and and that all came because once I came back, I saw a picture of the Abbotsford Art Center and the caption was something about the first Fraser Valley Music Awards. So when I got back, I mean, I had a skill set that not many people have, and I wanted to be able to share it with anyone I could to help them. And so I contacted Aaron Levy just to see if I could help them with the Fraser Valley Music Awards. And we talked through it, and I told him the things I could do and the things I could do. And he goes, like, are you looking for a job to get? I said, no, I'm volunteer and happy to help. And he goes, no, because there's another job you could do, because he was involved with the Abbotsford Arts Council and the Abbotsford Arts Awards. And so like 2 days later, I had a meeting for that, and I got hired for that. So I did 3 years of that, and I did 5 years at the Fraser Valley Music Awards.
Talk about full circle, so Trooper, and I think like the highlight of my night was that we're hanging out. I think got to hang out backstage with Brian and watch him get his award and everything. And they were just inducted into the BC Music Hall of Fame.
They got inducted into the BC. It's like a Walk of Fame thing.
Yeah, out by the Commodore.
It's right in front of the Commodore. Yeah. Well, because you may recall at this. Because I was doing
you said something. You were like prophetic that night, I think.
Well, I did. I mean, I was trying to do the nicest job I could of the induction. And before we went to and I'm sorry if this is going long, but before we went to the video, and the video presentation, that was a typical example of someone who's grown up in the Fraser Valley and trying to present it in a way that is going to work best. Because as so many people who've grown up in the Fraser Valley have the mindset that if something is coming to where you live, it's probably not going to be any good.
Right.
And so for the awards, it opened with a cold opening of Bill Henderson from the band Chilliwack, a fun thing. Hi, I'm Bill Henderson from Chilliwack, and you know how confusing it is because you're not from the city. And so when it came to that, the video clip started. So we wanted to really lower everyone's expectations. So it started with Bill Henderson, who we've already seen. And then it's the mayor of Langley, which is great, but I mean, we're not really. And then, so it's Mike Reno from Loverboy, and then it's Haley Wickenheiser the week she went to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and then it's Rick Mercer, and then it's Stephen Page from the Bare Naked Ladies, and then it's Keith Scott, Bryan Adams guitarist, and then it's Kim Mitchell, and just on and on and on and on and on. And so, people were blown up, which was the intention. Like, make them think it's not going to be good, and then make it really good. But in my part to that, I'd made the mention of that. And if Trooper don't get inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame or in Canada's Walk of Fame, I will burn those places down. Which again is stupid. First of all, to say publicly, and second of all, because the Walk of Fame actually is on the ground. It's a sidewalk. And since then, they've been inducted to both.
And speaking of awards, and I think we're just about at the end. It's good to know that your work through all this just doesn't go unnoticed. So here's you actually receiving the Chairman's Awards at the Canadian Comedy Awards, and I guess looking back again, I don't know if we're doing the looking back part yet, but looking back, was there any kind of any advice you would have given yourself starting out many years ago in the comedy or the writing world? Like anything that you wish that you'd go back and advice and give yourself?
The two things I would say would be stay true to yourself and try and envision what might go wrong if you do this.
Nice. Yes. All right. Well, we are out of time. Again, I could do this for a lot longer, but I appreciate you spending some time with me up here, Harry.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Harry's a frequent flyer here at Creative Third Thursday. He's super open to chat and has hundreds more stories than the ones that we have here. And he's also like, if there's stuff going on creatively in Chilliwack, he's a big supporter of it. So I always see him around, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. And I hope people got a little bit of an insight into this incredibly diverse kind of background in the entertainment industry that you had.
Well, I'm happy to have a chance to sit down and talk.
Awesome. Okay, so again, all of us here at Creative Third Thursday wish you the very best, and I know you'll be back as we host again, and thank you again for helping us to build this community. lots going on when we talk about creative stuff in Chilliwack. It's a big weekend, obviously. It's our 8th annual SIFF, Chilliwack Independent Film Festival, and that starts tomorrow evening. So make sure that you get your tickets. There's still some left, I believe. And we'll also have a really amazing, thanks to Tim, industry event that we host right here in Studio C. I know in the years past, it's been one of the highlights of the film festival, and it's one that's kind of really differentiated the work that we're doing here in Chilliwack from some of the other festivals that are out here, and we get feedback from people all over, not just Canada, but I was telling a story the other day. I met some folks at the film festival and shook some hands. I said, "Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Chilliwack. Where are you from?" And I figured maybe Vancouver or Abbotsford, Surrey. Right. Oh, I'm from Chicago. I just flew in. Wow. We've got a film here, and I'm here to check it out. So incredible.
That's great.
Tickets still available. SIFF.ca, and then we've got the inaugural Chili's Awards. So tomorrow night at the Chilliwack Cultural Center. So we got lots of stuff going on. SIFF goes on all weekend. Chili's are on tomorrow. I think still tickets available to the Chili's. You can go to the Chilliwack Cultural Center website to grab those, chilliwackculturalcenter.ca. And last but not least, we've got another fairly well-known Fraser Valley guy who's also a comedian and writer. And he's coming up at our next third Thursday. And he'll be in December. And thank goodness for you guys. You don't have to put up with me again as a host because we've got our very own Matt Hawkins.
The last Abbotsford Arts Awards that I did, I hired him as the host.
Yeah, he's great. He used to be my neighbor. Yeah. All right. So again, Creative Third Thursday is a Chilliwack Creative Commission event, and this is what we've all been really waiting for. We've got some cold drinks in the lobby, and really do take the opportunity to meet folks, network, take some selfies. # Creative Chilliwack, and thanks again for
thanks
coming.
Everyone.
Cheers.